have Melia dubia here, pot number 1, then here our mahogany, then comes again Melia dubia, then comes again mahogany. So, in 35 months our Melia dubia and mahogany have grown to this height. 7 years from the date of planting, Melia dubia get harvested, 10 to 12 years from the date of planting, that is in our experience year 2022 our mahogany gets harvested. Between two coconut lines there are two areca lines. There is an areca here and the areca here with a 9 feet interval. Because of the glyceridia available on the western side, the stem of my areca plant is free from any direct sunlight impact post afternoon till evening. I have not used any cow dung, any cow urine, any amrutam for this entire 6 acres of garden. Hello friends, welcome to Vivara Info English YouTube channel. I am HR Manjunath. We are at MS Farm, Banavati, Sasalu Hobali, Dodbalapura Taluk, Bengaluru Rural District, Karnataka. Friends, you have already seen 3 episodes of our MS Farm in terms of the mulching, the irrigation system and the soil character and the benefit of tapioca. In today's episode, we will discuss the very important parameter of our farm design, that we call it as multi-layer multi-cropping. When we started designing this farm and started planting, we gone ahead with a concept called multi-layer multi-cropping with the grid mapping, and have used what is called 9 by 9, 9 feet by 9 feet grid. I will explain that. Before that, can you see friends, this is my peripheral road. So, this peripheral road comes from my farm main gate and crosses our farm pond and move all the way like this. This I have put about 12 feet width peripheral road. On this side on the peripheral road you can see my live fence, that is our physical boundary, and I am trying to grow some live fencing plants like subabul, glycidia and pongume, etc. Because of the stony structure here, the plants are taking more time to establish, but one fine day my live fence will going to happen. On the other side, that is on the eastern side, you can see already the green fence is growing. Now, I have left this 12 feet peripheral road all along. Then comes my first road. On the inside of this peripheral road, we have our main pipeline system, which is 63 mm PVC pipeline, which is drawn from my single central bore well up to this corner, and I have created tapping points and wall system without using bends, which I have already explained. Now, let us get into our grid design and planting we have done as per the grid design. This design, as already said, is a 9 by 9. So, I started off my first point of reference in this block from this corner. This is my first point of reference. So, I have marked my first point here. From here, I have taken every 9 feet as space between line to line, and I have also drawn pits all along this direction, that is towards the north, with 9 feet distance. Hence, this is called 9 by 9 matrix. So, this 9 by 9 matrix I have conceived in June 2022, where I had got very less knowledge in terms of spacing, canopy, etc. But as I see from last 3 years my farm growing, I realize, and I told myself many times, this is a big mistake I have done. I would have not gone for 9 by 9, I would have gone for 12 by 12. That means 12 feet between the two lines and 12 feet between the two plants. Friends, the first line what I have marked here is called timber value plants line. This is the first line. So, what I have done on this line, this goes all along my parallel to my peripheral road like a capital U. It starts from here, go to the north end, takes that entire north direction, then comes toward the eastern side. This is like a capital U. This measures approximately 150 points of 9 feet interval. This first line parallel to the peripheral road has got 150 points of 9 by 9 matrix, that means 9 feet between the two plants. Friends, what I did here, I have planted timber value plants which will grow faster, create shade from this western direction and also results in biomass, host birds and other organisms, living things. Most importantly, after few years, this will give me a timber value which will have a commercial value for us. What I did is, in this timber line, all along the periphery, the first line border, for every 9 feet distances, we have planted what is called Milia dubia and mahogany on interleaving basis. What is interleaving basis? I have Milia dubia here, part number 1, then here our mahogany, then comes again Milia dubia, then comes again mahogany. So, alternatively, interleaving basis, I have planted this timber plants across 150 pits. That means, I have 75 numbers of Milia dubia, 75 numbers of mahogany being planted on the first row of my 9 by 9 matrix. Now, this will continue all along a capital U shape, 150 plants. You can see now, this is my Milia dubia, which is exactly about 34 months now. July 2025, it will complete 3 years. I planted them in July 2022. In 35 months, our Milia dubia and mahogany have grown to this height on this terrain, on this challenging land, because I already told you about my land. So, what I understand from fellow farmers and the Department of Forest officials inputs, that this Milia dubia will going to be ready for harvesting at the age of 7 plus years. Now, this is 3 years friends. Another 4, that is by 2029 or 2030, our Milia dubia, 75 of them get harvested. Then once I harvest this Milia dubia, both the plants, the canopy, the air space will be allocated to our mahogany. The mahogany will extend its arms and starts growing exponentially. Once Milia dubia gets harvested, mahogany finds more aerial space to grow, his canopies expands faster, it can generate more food and its stem size increases. So, within 3 years from then, our mahogany will also grow to a sufficient dimension, I can harvest them also. That is a 7 years from the date of planting, Milia dubia get harvested, 10 to 12 years from the date of planting, that is in our experience, year 2022, our mahogany gets harvested. Like this, I can have a revenue of selling 150 numbers of timber value plants 7 years and 10 years from the date of planting, all along the peripheral road inside the first line. Friends, now let us get into the core commercial products. Our MS farm being designed with my 9 by 9 matrix, and I have used areca and coconut as my main commercial crops. As you see from this design here, after the timber value plant first line, I have the first line going towards areca, coconut line, the second is an areca line, third is again an areca line, and fourth is again a coconut line. So, what we see here is between 2 coconut lines, there are 2 areca lines. That means, from that coconut line, coconut tree to this coconut tree, I have 9 trees are 27 feet on this direction. Similarly, from this coconut tree to the next coconut tree on this line, again I have left 2 pits of 9 feet. That means 27 feet. That is both on the x direction and y direction. This coconut tree is placed at an interval of 27 feet. Ideally, it should be 36 feet, that I would have achieved by going with a 12 by 12 matrix, not by 9 by 9 matrix. And also I have placed the areca in a 9 feet interval. There is an areca here and the areca here with a 9 feet interval. So, once I have this 9 feet interface, the center point of 2 areca line, that is it's 4.5 feet mathematically, I have made a provision to grow another commercial crop. I will come to that later. Friends, one more important design, you can see what you have taken precaution in MS farm is, on the coconut line, on one direction, that is north south direction, that is where we have drawn our drip lateral initially before we implement our Winkler system. I have not planted any areca line, areca plants. That means the coconut line in one direction is, there is no areca line. That means to say that this areca tree will have an adjacent areca tree at a 9 feet and adjacent coconut tree at the 9 feet, or the next areca tree at the 18 feet. So, by not planting areca on the coconut line in one direction, I have created more space, and this space is used for my coconut palms and also areca. As you know, these two palm family plant, that is coconut and areca, prefer to be on top layer. They should be the first recipient of sunlight. So, the design is 9 by 9 matrix. The fourthmost line is for timber value plants, the second line is for coconut, on that line there is no areca. Third and fourth line is for areca, which are 9 feet, 9 feet. Again the subsequent line, that is the fourth line, is again with coconut, and between two coconuts have maintained 27 feet. So, this is my coconut tree, friends. Now, this is, as I said, 34 months old. July it will complete its 3 years. Now, in these 3 years this coconut tree has grown to this level, and I have managed this plant growth only with giving organic biomass, that is our plant waste, and microbial inoculation, and recently I started adding various oil seed cake water. Those things only I am adding. I have not used any cow dung, any cow urine, any amrutam for this entire 6 acres of garden. So, in a sense I am into cow free farming, organic farming. Friends, at this juncture I would like to draw your attention to one more concept, is called companion species or a guardian plant. You can see this is my grid plant, which is areca plant, and on the western side I have planted what is this plant called Gliricidia. I have already explained what is Gliricidia and how this helps in nitrogen fixing, biomass generation, shade management and mulching. So, my Gliricidia, which is adjacent to this grid crop, areca crop, is giving me sufficient shade, nitrogen fixing. Because of the Gliricidia available on the western side, the stem of my areca plant is free from any direct sunlight impact post afternoon till evening. You might see so many areca farms of when you grow areca on an open land without this kind of shade plant on day one, you find the sunlight falling on the surface and this areca stem gets heated up by the sunlight and the stem gets opened. Now, that problem is not there. Many fellow farmers will do white painting or a calcium carbonate coating on that, but in my case in this farm that situation is not required, because I have cautiously and precisely chosen a companion plant like Erythrina or our Gliricidia on the western side of my grid plant areca or coconut. This is one of the innovative design I was able to implement in this farm, and I was able to harvest. Look at, friends, my Erythrina has got so much of branches. I keep chopping them every 3 months, 4 months and start mulching into my commercial plants. Now, this is the design.